love you. I'm playing the game. That's what I came here to do. My prize isn't even the $1 million. My prize was that I fell in love in this game. Love at first sight. Her name is Candace. And in between...
Candace from Roro tribe.
Yeah, after the last challenge, we sort of mouthed the words I love you to one another, and so that was my prize, and my prize was her.
I've never heard anything that surprised me more than what you just said.
I think it's just, you know, love at first sight. I think it's just a rapport thing.
So you're absolutely sincere right now.
I'm dead serious.
Survivor Cook Islands tried an experimental twist like never before. 4 tribes, which we have seen before, though they are all divided by race, which of course we have not seen before. It was a questionable decision that doesn't have many ways it can end well. So how does season 13 fare, and can it crack the top seasons I've reviewed so far? Let's find out. Do you want to pick what videos I make? Then join me on Patreon. You can sign up and cancel at any time. If you join for a year, you get a 15% discount. Thank you for your support.
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor.
Number 1, the thematic twist. Survivor Race Wars is basically what this season is, and to be fair, it could have gone south in so many ways. Thankfully, the worst that happened was some race jokes by Billy and Cowboy about their own race that did irk some people on their tribes, and at one point there was a fear that the final 4 would be all white. In fact, that was the plan of a couple of the players, though they weren't being racist, they just wanted to stay with people from their first tribe to be safe to go to the end. And had it not been for one big move at the merge, this was bound to happen, and that would put a damper on the season like no other. Thankfully, despite the rocky start with the race aspect, by the end of the season it becomes a showcase for different cultures that results in a final 4 like Survivor has never seen before. It adds a unique flavor to Survivor after having an almost all-white cast 2 seasons prior, and the show bet everything they had on red, and it worked out. The thematic twist here scores a 9 out of 10. Number 2, production quality. Cook Islands is beautiful. Seriously, I wish every season after All Stars had been filmed in HD or at least widescreen, because these locations deserve so much more. Survivor keeps landing in places that continue to impress me during this era. On top of that, the production team made some smart decisions with the first episode starting right away. No opening speech from Jeff that eats up time. They're not sitting on an island talking about, oh, how do you feel about being on Survivor? Which sometimes can work, but here, it actually is better that they don't do it. There's no opening challenge, we just get right into meeting the cast, which is 20 players wide, and it lets them shine as a result. The challenges have been improved for TV with their diversity, and the colors being used on them look great, unlike the last few seasons where they really lacked color. The storytelling never left us bored, even though on paper the boot order ended up being fairly predictable. And I would say the weakest episode in the season for me was the finale prior to the final 4 fire-making disaster, which was still so funny. The production quality scores a 9 out of 10. Number 3, strategic play.
I had this dream. These people were coming into this village and they were kidnapping people, and they had this robe and they just wrap around them and they fly real quick and become invisible to others. And so I couldn't defeat them. I had this dream. I was dealing with all these supernatural people and with supernatural power. And there's a shaman lady, like this old lady, and she had all kinds of credit card applications. And she asked me if I have an American Express card or Visa, all the stuff. I'm looking at it. And I said, what do I need it for? She said, well, you need 3 of that and 3 of that. And I thought, 3 and 3. That's how you can defeat the immunity idol. You can flush it out. And I woke up and I go, whoa, plan voodoo.
I think the plan's ingenious.
How did one of the silliest characters this season invent a Survivor strategy staple? I have no idea, but it is game changing. The overpowered super idol from last season is back, and while it does make Yule untouchable at times, it is not as egregious as Terry in season 12. Yule worked his butt off. The mutiny added a lot of strategy, good or bad. Ozzy went on an immunity run that rivals Terry Dietz from last season and Tom Westman from a couple seasons back, and Jonathan Penner played a complex game that makes sense on paper, but burns so many bridges. Parvati showed us glimpses of her future diabolical self with Nate, Adam, and Ozzy. The strategy of the season was interesting a lot of the time, but unfortunately we did see a lot of players sitting on their hands as well, or just making blatant bad moves. Heck, 2 players reached day 38 and they still didn't know how to make fire.
Begin. Who will get the first flame? All right, stop right where you're at. We're gonna go to matches. Becky having trouble lighting her match. Both fires out. After 38 days out here, you should both know how to make fire.
I'm out.
And Sandra is out of matches.
The strategy ends up being a little top heavy as a result, but the final tribal diversity between Yule and Ozzy's gameplay more than makes up for it. Overall, I give the strategic play this season a 7 out of 10. Number 4, the characters. Ozzy, Parvati, Penner, Yule, Candace, Nate, Flicka, Cowboy, and Billy. 9 out of the 20 cast members stand out, and while this is less than half, most of them make it far and therefore propel the season past others where there is a smaller selection of characters to focus on. So many differing personalities, so many iconic moments. Boring moments were rare and usually hard to come by, all thanks to this diverse cast of wonderful characters. The initiative to get a more racially diverse cast led to a more diverse set of personalities and thoughts on how to play, and that just made everything that much more intriguing. It is unfortunate though how many people come from the states of California and New York. Believe it or not, 15 out of the 20 players come from those two locations, and in fact 2 more come from Washington DC. So only 3 out of 20 don't come from California, New York, or Washington DC, which is wild. So the other states represented are South Carolina, Virginia, and Illinois. That is 6 locations out of 50 possible places to pull from a cast of 20. It's a bit insane. Everyone in the final 9 comes from California and DC. It may have never been brought up on the edited show, but that definitely plays a part in how people relate to each other. This won't get better next season, but despite this, the cast kept it entertaining. And of course, who could forget Billy and Candace falling in love? I know I didn't. The character's score gets twice the weight, and the characters here score a 9 out of 10. Number 5, the winner.
Holy cow. Woo! Hey, this might be it. Oh, mama. Oh. Wow, it's a compass.
You have just discovered something of great value. This immunity idol will keep you safe from being voted off the tribal council once only. The last time you can use any hidden immunity idol is when there are 4 survivors remaining in the game.
Despite his big brain play to find the idol in only the 2nd episode, Yule never sat on his hands as he found himself at a disadvantage multiple times, especially post-mutiny, and in the post-merge, so he played his bollocks off to get to the end. The final 3 twists did help him make it, as he easily could have lost to Ozzy in the final 3 immunity challenge had they had one, and Ozzy likely would have dragged Becky with him. That is Yule's only flaw for me, is how far he let Ozzy get, but that is kind of a catch-22, because Ozzy was needed to fend off the 8-4 Raro lead and systematically eliminate them. Yule played intelligently, knew how to read people, and was respectful to all even if they wronged him or attacked him. He kept his cool and set the bar pretty high for how to win with class. Kind of like Ethan Zahn in Africa, only I would say this is better. This is a more improved game. Even without the super idol, I think he has a great shot to reach the end, though we likely would have made fire against Sandra at Final 4 rather than Becky, but we saw Sandra making fire, and I think Yule's okay. So Yule's winning game and story gets a 9 out of 10. Do I recommend Survivor Cook Islands? Absolutely. I went into the season with mild expectations and found myself intrigued the entire time, even when rewatching this season 6 times in total for the videos that I made. That replay value is something the last 3 seasons lacked, and I haven't experienced it really since Vanuatu. This season was a pleasant surprise, and for me, Survivor Cook Island gets an overall score of 8.7 out of 10. Tune in next time as we cover the only season with an odd number of players, Survivor Fiji. Thanks for watching, and doubly thanks for liking and subscribing. See you all next time.